My dear friends, once more, good morning. When I meet with couples for marriage preparation, one of the sessions we talk about the Christian definition of the word love. And normally I'll always start by asking them what they understand or what is their definition of love. Of course, they're there to get married, so everything is flowery and everything is perfect, and they're thinking about all the emotions, so we just love each other, we care for each other, and so when I always ask them that question, of course, the ladies take it, they run with that question, They talk about all the beautiful things that they hope to do for each other and all of that. But I always have to try to help them understand that in the Christian tradition, love is unfortunately, as they think, is not simply a feeling. It's not just a way that you feel. And I go into a much broader conversation about love, sharing with them the three dimensions of Christian love. And I'm not going to get into that today, but we know there's erotic love, there's agape love, and there's filial love. So I go and I explain all of that for them. But I think it is important for us to understand from our Christian tradition that when we talk about love, we're not talking about a feeling. And when Christ talks about love in today's gospel, that is precisely not what he is talking about. Jesus is not asking us to care for him. That is not what he's asking us to do. When he says, whoever loves me will keep my commandment, he's not simply asking for folks who have good feelings towards him. It is something much more than that. And I think it is a kind of love that is not only able to transform our lives, but in the end is able to transform our society. But it is important for us to understand that from our Christian tradition, when we talk about love, we are not talking about a feeling, but we're talking about a commitment. We're talking about a decision. We're talking about a choice, a way of life. And I think many of you as parents, you understand when you say you love your child, your love for them is not simply how you feel towards them, but it is the fact that you're willing to make adjustments to your lives to accommodate their needs. When you say you love someone, it is the extent to which you are willing to make changes, the extent to which you are willing to make sacrifices. And that is the kind of love that Jesus talks about in the gospel. When he says, if you love me and you love my Father, you will keep my commandments. In this context, under this dispensation, when we talk about love, we are talking about indeed that response in which we are willing to not only make sacrifices, but we are willing to be honest when it is going to cost us something. That we are willing to be kind and loving, even when it is not convenient. That we are willing to reach out and extend a hand, even when it is something we least desire at the moment. So the kind of love that Jesus is urging us in today's gospel is that love that is willing to make adjustment and to make changes in order for us to be able to accommodate the needs of others. And so today, that is going to be the question for our meditation. Is that my understanding of Christian love? To what extent am I willing to make adjustments to my life? To what extent am I willing to make sacrifices? To what extent am I willing to change in order for me to accommodate the needs of others? But most importantly, to what extent am I willing to change my life in order for me to reveal to the world that indeed I'm a disciple of Christ? It is that desire, that willingness to change and to be transformed, and not simply to see our relationship with God as a transaction, but to see it as a way of life, as a transformative choice that helps each one of us, as Jesus says in today's gospel, to have an opportunity one day to see the Father. Today for our meditation, each one of us will ask ourselves that question. To what extent am I willing to make adjustments and to make changes in my life to truly show that I love my fellow men, but above all, my love for God? May Jesus Christ inspire each one of us to emulate the example of his cross. Praise God.